And it's lights out. Welcome to the PITWALL Podcast, your stop for fantasy Formula One content. Joining me this evening is my bro, Dominick, my dad, Dr. David Kessler, our great friend Paola, and I'm your host, Jeanmark. Let's go. Got a brand new track. Mom's got questions. We got a brand new stash, and Dad's got answers. Welcome to our preview of the Miami Grand Prix. Mom, brand new, thanks to this podcast. Woo, woo, woo. Tell us, what are your thoughts? What are your questions as it pertains to this new track?
What part of Miami is the track actually built in? Is it like in the city or is it a track?
It's built around the Miami Dolphins Stadium.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's built around Hard Rock Stadium. Actually, that's the story. Originally, they wanted to be a street circuit in the heart of Miami near where the Heat basketball arena is. And then there's a bridge. And so it would go across the water and come back. And then it didn't get the green light. So then they moved it north up to, like Dad said, where the Miami Dolphin Stadium is. And so it's now going to be a permanent fixture. Miami Dolphin Hard Rock Stadium and the Formula One track. So what are your thoughts about that? Is that going to get you more likely to get Dominick down there for a football game?
That's what I was thinking. Then that way you could also like preview the track. So I think that's pretty neat.
Dominick's favorite football team are the Miami Dolphins. So I've been telling ever since we heard about this, because we've never gone to a Dolphins game. We went to a Packers game. Dad, have you been to a Cowboys game ever?
Yeah, well, it was in Patriots with you last year.
Oh, that's right. But not to the home game. But yeah, that's right. Last year, Mom's brother, my uncle in Boston, ticket season holder of the New England Patriots. And so he was able to allow Dad and I to go to the game. And so it was weird, Dad, right? Because we were rooting against the home team. And it got all the way to, overtime, right?
Yeah.
Sudden death overtime. Yeah, so getting down to Miami could be good because not only can we try like a tour of the stadium, we could get a tour of the track.
And after doing the Green Bay Dallas thing, where I was rooting for Dallas, you were rooting for Green Bay, and Dominick was trying to figure out what to do, root for each team that did something well. I think if we go to Miami, we just won't be one of our teams, so we can root him with his team.
Oh, I see. I was about to say, it seems like the trend is go when the Cowboys are playing the team, right? So, yeah. Okay, Mom, what's your next question?
How long is the track? Okay. Miles, wise.
So the distance of the track is 308.37 kilometers.
Kilometers? Okay, let's do our conversion real quick. That's 191 miles. What is the actual length of the track itself, though?
5.41 kilometers.
Kilometers, okay. So a 5.41 kilometer racetrack is a 3.36 mile circuit. So this actually is a pretty decently long circuit. And that's what we're noticing more and more. Formula One is wanting to get longer and longer tracks because the street circuits, you have to work around the confines that you have. For example, Las Vegas circuit, I think is going to be a 5 mile long track. It's going to be one of the longest on the calendar. How long is the Las Vegas F1 track? It'll be 3.8 mile. So 3.8 mile is 6.1 kilometers. Oh, interesting. So the Vegas is going to be 1 kilometer shorter than Spa-Francorchamps. Fascinating. Okay. What else questions do you have? Or what are your reactions, Mom, to this circuit?
I just was curious how many turns is it going to have? Aren't those called the chicanes?
So a chicane is a set of turns that's designed to slow down the cars. So you have turns, but a chicane is like a kink in the road. That's the best way to put it. You're coming down the road really fast and it would be a straight, but they don't want you going that fast the whole time. So they put a chicane or a double corner to force you to brake or lift and then continue on to the rest of the straight. So Dad, do you have that answer? How many turns do we got at Miami?
So there's a total of 19.
Oh, wow.
Mom, guess how many are going to the right?
To the right?
Yes.
Well, I guess that's true. If you're going to go around like a stadium, you have to have so many rights and then so many lefts to get you all the way around. You said there were 19 total?
Yep.
7.
Very good. There are 7 right, which means that...
Mom got it. Look at that. Bonus points for awesomeness. So say that stat again, Dad.
So there's 7 right turns and 12 left turns.
If you have more turns to the left than the right, then that means they are going counterclockwise or anti-clockwise, which is a tendency in American circuits. Most circuits in Europe go to the right, and America has a tendency to go to the left. You know, it's funny. I was looking up this research because, as you're probably familiar with NASCAR, what's the famous saying? 4 left turns, right?
Right.
Why do the Americans go left? I actually looked this up, okay? This was ridiculous. The first one was the funny one. The Brits did it to the right. We want to be different. But the more realistic reason is, what side of the road do the Brits drive on?
Left side,
Okay, and so which side of the car is the driver's seat on?
right side.
Okay, so your circuits are more likely to go right because you sit on the right side of the car. In America, because you sit on the left side of the car, you want to be able to see the inside of the track. And that's why our ovals are left-handers. And so that's the more realistic reason as to why most of our tracks in America go left and the ones in Europe go right. Now, Formula One's a single-seater, so it really doesn't matter which way you're going because you're in the middle of the car. But that is some historical context as to why oval racing in the United States, or a lot of our tracks, are what we call anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, going left.
How much of the track will be your straightaway so that they can pass?
Oh,
Okay.
DRS zones. Do you have like that? How many straights are on the circuit?
There are 3 potential DRS zones. That's when I was doing my research. There were 3 potential.
Okay, so to give this in perspective, Imola, the last race, had 1. The race before in Australia had 4, and then for driver safety reasons, they removed 1 down to 3. No F1 race has ever had more than 3. So if they have 3 in this race, then that means that probably be ample passing opportunities, unless it's like Australia where they're not true straights. Australia had a lot of bending straights.
Okay, let me show you what it looks like.
Yeah, I was gonna
Ooh,
ask.
yes, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so our
Like-
first straight is the big one. Okay, so I can see where maybe the 2 DRS zones are at the bottom, right? And then we have some bends. Okay, dad or artist. This is a promo. Per request from Dominick, our next game center is going to be dad showing us track designs and us trying to guess which track it is. And so dad's getting his artistic skill out.
I was questioning, like, how did that track get built in Miami? Who sponsored it?
Ooh, that is a very good question. Do you have that, Dad?
Well, I know what it's called. It's called the Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix 2022. So I guess it has to do something with crypto.
Okay, so Crypto.com is their official title sponsor. So that means that's where they're getting a lot of funds. But let's look at the circuit. Okay, so here are all the stats Mom was asking about. I could have showed this earlier, didn't think about it. 57 laps. Circuit length is 5.412 kilometers. A race distance of 308. So they're listing it as a temporary circuit, but to have the idea of a permanent feel. So that means that they're going to open up parts of the circuit to use it for things outside of the football season. Interesting. They don't say who the owner is. Oh, here. Stephen M. Ross is the current owner of Hard Rock Stadium. And so he's an American real estate developer, philanthropist, and sports team owner. He is the chairman and majority owner of the Related Companies, a global real estate development firm he founded in 1972. So the main thing is that when it wasn't going to be built down in Miami, the owner decided to lure them up to his stadium. It's a really good win-win for him.
Is there like an official like color scheme for the track?
At least all the advertising that I've seen has been Miami Dolphins colors. So your orange and your teal.
Orange and teal?
And so
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised because it's not just Hard Rock, but it's also a marriage between the NFL and Formula One. It's not an official sponsorship or partnership or anything like that, but it's bringing Europeans and people across the world more familiar with NFL team. And so I would not be surprised if, as the owner of the Miami Dolphins, that he isn't going to just try to promote that as much as he can, that branding recognition.
All right, so I have a quiz question for you two. So what number of venue is this for F1 American track?
Are you talking about
Venues.
2022 or just period?
Up to this year. This is the what venue in America?
Okay, so Mom, what he's trying to ask is how many other races have we had in the United States, right?
How many other venues? Yes.
Okay,
In
so
the actual United States,
Yeah.
I thought it was only Austin.
we have Austin, but back in the late 70s, early 80s, we had other racetracks that were in the United States. We had Watkins Glen in New York. We had Indianapolis, which was, I think the last race was a 2004, 2006. What they would do is they would use a portion of the Indianapolis 500 track, and then they would do an inner course. There was a big debacle with the tire wars at that time. And then we had one in Las Vegas. which was, I think, 2 seasons. It was called the Caesars Palace Grand Prix. Pretty much Caesars Palace made a track out of their parking lot, and drivers didn't like it because it was too bumpy. Am I missing one, Dad? I think those are the venues, right?
The F1 said that this was 11th different venue in America
11th?
for the F1.
Hold on. I'm curious now. List of all the F1 venues in the USA. Okay, this is the Bleacher Report, ranking every American circuit to have hosted a Formula One race. So Dad said there was 11 venues. This is written by Scott Mitchell in 2013. So Dallas in 1984 held a Grand Prix. I did not know that. And the only race held at Dallas was won by Keke Rosberg. He is a world champion, the father of Nico Rosberg, who won in 2016. And then Phoenix. Oh, that's right. I forgot about Phoenix. Oh, yes, Detroit. Detroit also hosted. I forgot that Detroit hosted Grand Prix as well. Phoenix, 1989 to 1991. Then we have Riverside, California. I did not know about that in 1960.
Kind of close to where we used to live.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we were in San Bernardino, so Riverside was not too far away.
I did a cycle rotation through in Riverside.
Nice. There's Las Vegas, like I said, 1981 to 82. Detroit, which is the one I had forgotten about, but now remembered as soon as they said it, 1982 to 1988. Sebring, 1959. Well, that's probably why I forgot about it. Sebring is in Florida. And then we had Circuit of the Americas in Austin. Indianapolis, between the 50s and 60s, the Indianapolis 500 was counted as giving championship points. So they list from 1950 to 1960, the Indianapolis 500. And then from 2000 to 2007, you had what we call a roval, a road course oval, where they had infield of Indianapolis plus some of the outer banking. Long Beach. Oh, interesting. So Long Beach from 1976 to 1983 had races. And then the Watkins Glen in New York from 1961 to 1980. Okay. I did not know that there were 11 different venues. Of these ones, which one surprised you guys the most?
Dallas.
Yeah, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan and didn't even know about that one.
Yeah. And they only had a 1 year. So I'm fascinated with the history is that got them there for that 1 year. And then why did they decide to go somewhere else? But this goes to show that F1 has tried to break into the United States a lot more than I realized. They've just tried to always have an American presence.
Yeah, Riverside kind of caught me by surprise too, since we lived in Loma Linda, which was just north of Riverside.
Ah.
Macro training. So something we didn't mention is the name of the circuit. It's called Miami International Autodrome.
Miami International Autodrome. Before I went to like the Mexico Autodromo de Mexico or some of these others, I never used the term autodrome. It's such a weird word, but I guess they're using it for Miami.
What does autodrome mean then?
I bet you it's probably based off of another word or a different language. Autodrome, a track or circuit for racing cars. Wow. Let's look at the etymology. Okay, let's look. It's a rare noun. Of course it is. Early 20th century, earliest use found in North Adams, Massachusetts. It's from auto plus drome, from French autodrome. So, okay, like I thought, it's from another language. Fascinating that it's like French words that were then combined, and it said the first instance of use was actually in the United States, in Massachusetts. That's very fascinating. Okay, any other questions you might have, Mom?
According to that picture that he put up, then where is the pit?
Pits are usually on the main straight. You're able to see where the start-finish line is, and it shows the direction of travel, and they always put the pits on the straight. So considering we have this big space here in the center, it's built around the stadium. I have to be careful when showing videos. The pits are on the right. So the pits are on the right.
So when does the race start?
It will start 14:30. Now, you guys are an hour ahead of me. I'm in Central Time. You're in Eastern Time. So if it starts at 2:30 my time, it'll start at 3:30 your time. Normally, races start at the top of the hour. So it's interesting that they're starting at the bottom of the hour. Oh, I know why. That's like an American football thing, right? Don't we always start the football games at the bottom of the hour?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be also interesting because May 8th, I believe, is Mother's Day.
May 8th is indeed Mother's Day. Look at that.
Because we were talking about that. I was like, oh, it would have been nice to go to Miami for our anniversary because the day before is our anniversary. But all the tickets got sold out. How quickly did you say, Jeanmark, they got sold out?
It was like within the day of it posting. They actually, or at least my suspicion is that you had groups that bought a bunch of tickets and then tried to sell them later. Because I got emails where they were doing these little flash sales.
Yeah, because I was surprised compared to Monza. I mean, when I was trying to buy my ticket to go to Monza, I had problems getting it booked. And we finally did connect with the track the day of to finally finish purchasing it. I was surprised that the ones here in Miami got sold out so quickly.
Okay, Mom, Dad, as we're bringing this segment to its close, what are your final impressions, Mom, as a, what would I say, a brand new fan? What is your status? What is your relationship with Formula One?
Well, let me see. I usually sit right there and I peek around my my desktop to look at the race while I'm doing other stuff. And the last few races, I've not even done that. I've just sat right next to your dad right here in the lazy boy to watch the race. And I'm excited to see the race start without a lot of crashes and stuff since they've modified the cars. And it's exciting to see them racing just a lot closer. So it's getting my interest there.
I had not thought about that, actually. Because the cars are able to follow closer, then you don't lose as much downforce. And that, you're right. Probably because they redesigned the cars, when you're behind a guy in a braking zone, you don't like lock up and run into the rear of them as much anymore. I hadn't thought about that side effect.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the announcers, when they were waiting for that race to begin, they were waiting like with hyped up voice. And who's going to crash in the first turn or in the first couple of turns, and we're not seeing that, and I'm happy because I want to see all of them racing. So It's getting my attention, and just keep thinking, okay, come on, Perez, get first place. That's like, come on, and I'm seeing him up there. So it's being interesting to watch that whole Ferrari, which Dominick loves, and then now Red Bull trying to catch up after Verstappen, DNF'd near the end of the race. And then Perez, I blinked in that first race and his car spun out. I'm like, what happened? So, it's nice to see them gaining traction and the other racers too, gaining traction. So it's getting exciting, I think.
Nice. Well, I'm glad
so I'll start wearing maybe my green jersey too.
Oh, you got the Aston Martin swag. Hopefully they start getting better and better. Where they say you're only as good as your last race. Everyone's talking about Vettel retiring. He's younger than Hamilton. Just put that in perspective, right? And then they're talking about Ricciardo might be replaced and all this. I was like, okay, the rumor mills are rife with problems right now. So yes, like you said, hopefully Aston Martin will continue to bounce back. I'm glad McLaren has.
And I know that like after going to Monza and the energy to go see the race, I hope that there'll be some people when you guys do the live podcast that might be able to comment, and maybe they went to the race and they can give their reaction to that brand new course, the energy that was there, the pictures that they had of all the drivers, because that's what I thought was cool going into the race. All that stuff trying to advertise the racers, and you could pose next to your favorite racer and all that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see what they did.
Put in comments below. Are you going to Miami? Let us know. You can join us in our Discord and you can post pictures and we might be able to share that on our next live stream, or, jump in live stream. Tell us how you thought. It'll be really good. Our live cast at the conclusion of that race. Okay. Well, thank you, Mom, for joining us. Thank you, Dad, for having the answers. And we might get you on here even more. Who knows? Okay. It's now time for our one race challenge. We're going to kick it off with our ORC Elite. This is the best lineup combination you could have had with a budget of $100 million or less. Having Perez as your turbo driver would have got you 88 points. Having Norris, 43 points because he got on the podium. Dad, I was so close to having Norris on my team one, but because I had an extra sub, I waffled and went to Alonso, and I should have just stuck with Norris. I wish I had one less sub. Vettel, 24 points. Bottas 34. Vettel is fascinating if you think about it, Dad, because Vettel actually showed a lot of good pace in the wets and the inter tires because of the crossover time during free practice session 1, and he was able to translate that well into the race. And then Tsunoda, best performance that we've seen for this season and probably for the majority of last season as well, 30 points, and then Red Bull 99 points. What are your thoughts, Dad? Some of these drivers, you probably even think they were on your radar.
Norris was, because he's a British driver, and I trusted him more than Alonso in wets. I did have Norris on my team. I didn't have Bottas and definitely not Tsunoda, and didn't have Red Bull. So it was kind of, I wasn't too well. And then Sainz kind of really dampened my whole team. So
we're going to have a discussion later in this podcast about difference between Verstappen and Red Bull. And as you see in the ORC Elite, Verstappen didn't make it on here because of the power of turboing either Leclerc or Perez. And so unless there's a week in both Perez and Leclerc both DNF, you're probably never going to see Verstappen on this ORC Elite as a regular because he's just too expensive to build a team around. That was the problem with Hamilton last season. It's still this season as well because he's still just as expensive and gaining barely any points. Imola One Race Challenge. Give a shout out to Micah B from Australia. He had the high score with a total of 291 points. Here's the thing. We don't take the Mega Driver multiplier into our One Race Challenge, but we take the base. Here's the fascinating thing. Even with the base points, Micah got silver with 231 points. So I want to add all that information to the leaderboard. Congratulations, Micah. Right behind him by 1 point in bronze is Jeff M, 230 points. Having Perez, Sainz, Alonso, Magnussen, Leclerc, and Red Bull. That was the difference maker, having Red Bull on your team. But by and far, biggest performer with 250 points goes to our gold. That is Leon. He turboed Perez. He had Leclerc, Sainz. Because of the sprint race, didn't get negative points. He had Magnussen. He had Guan Yu Zhou. But the big difference maker is having Red Bull on your team. Congratulations to you, Leon. And because your flag is Mexico, we're going to hear the Mexican national anthem for our podium ceremony. Dad, how is your reactions? First time we had just a pure gold, silver, and bronze. No ties anywhere.
I think that's neat. It shows how unpredictable Formula One is. And as people see changes, they make changes in their team, you see a spread. I think it was really smart what some of these people did. I was cautious about Red Bull because Verstappen DNF'd twice, but he took a chance with Red Bull and it paid off big time.
It's now time for our Meme Team Award. Congratulations to Behind Enemy Signs, Abhimanyu S. Dad, how did you feel? Is Signs like at a point this season that you're not going to trust him anymore, or do you think he can bounce back?
Anything's possible. I was having trouble trusting Verstappen when he DNF'd twice, so I'm not sure I trust Sainz any more than Verstappen. They do great when they're doing good, but when they don't, they can ruin your team. But I really like that name, Behind Any Signs. That was really cool.
I'm going to have to rethink Sainz. He can get plus 5 points for qualifying, which means that he might be an addition. But if I'm going to have to decide with Russell, yeah, maybe I would drop Sainz. Actually, let me do that right now. Okay, my team, manage. If I were to drop Sainz and pick up Russell, I exceed my budget by 3.1 million. Oh, that's because I have Norris on my team. So let's say if I were to drop Norris and put on someone like Bottas, I could then fit it. But here's the thing. I think that Sainz can bounce back. And I think having Sainz and Norris is going to give me more points than having Russell and Bottas if Sainz isn't crashing, right? Because Sainz is guaranteed on the podium. I think Bottas probably won't ever get on the podium unless he's lucky. Russell, he also got lucky when he got on the podium because the cars ahead were DNFing. But if you got a guy that you can guarantee is being on the podium, then that is probably going to give you more points over the course of the season. Norris even got lucky where he got on the podium this race. So he may not be getting 43 points again, right?
So that reminds me of the whole thing about Verstappen. He can get you a win if he's not DNFing. Sainz can get you a podium if he's not DNFing.
Okay. Playing the statistics, playing the steady game, low risk. is what we're wanting.
Of course, then we might not be on the ORC leaderboard.
How do you get on there? Actually, since we're talking about it, let's kick it over to our ORC leaderboard. It's lonely at the top when you had a tie previous in the season, but don't mind all these blanks. Leon with his 250 points, 101.5. Micah with the 231. And then Jeff with the 230. If we look at our Elite, 318 points by the ORC Elite. That's outstanding, which brings us over to our averages. To be on our ORC leaderboard, to get a bronze, you just need an average of 101.7 million. That's feasible, right, Dad? You and I, when we weren't day trading, our teams easily got to 102 million. So that's not too bad. Actually, you can get more points for even cheaper. Silver, 232 points, which is 3 more, but a budget of 101.4. But the difference maker, like Dad's saying, when you start getting out of the box, you're lucky. 249 points, 17 point difference, 101.8. But it's almost the same price between a gold and a bronze. So that's fascinating. But then you get to your ORC Elite, 98.1 with a 271 points. That goes to show that even with a team with 100 million or less, you still have a chance at scoring lots of points. Which now brings us to our one race challenge, our ORC leaderboard. No movement at the top, but there are people who are starting to edge their way closer and closer. Congratulations to our top 10. It's more than that because we have ties, but no duplicated countries. We have Kim from Great Britain, Ari from Israel, Anita from Ukraine, Kyle from Canada, CJ from South Africa, Edwin from Singapore, Levy from the US, Ward from Belgium, Carlos from Venezuela, Mikael from India, and Andres from Mexico. That is fascinating how many different countries we've got represented here.
I like how it seems to appeal to different countries. No matter where you're living, you like the challenge of a race and racing against other people, which is similar to what Formula One racers do.
I do want to make an adjustment from our leaderboard. I've already done it, but thanks to reaching out to us in the YouTube comments. So we had Carlos G from Venezuela. And there was another Carlos G, but he had the flag of Puerto Rico. And I was like, maybe they're different people, but you can change your flag and all that. Maybe it was a visual bug. And so I originally had given it to Carlos G, and the Carlos G from Puerto Rico said, hold on. No. I am someone separate. And so he changed his name to Carlos E. And so I now have his spot on our leaderboard. So if you notice at any point during our podcast or leaderboard that it seems like you've got the exact same name as someone else, hey, just reach out to us, clarify that, and maybe you want to adjust your name. Because at the end of the day, I don't write the team names because you can change the team names all the time. But the profile name and the flag is how I can differentiate you. And I can only imagine with the more people that start joining our pit crew community, the more and more names might start overlapping. But I appreciate all of you that are a part of our great ORC leaderboard. It's now time for our lineups leading up into the Miami Grand Prix. Now, because of the hacking situation, Dad, you noticed like right out the gate that it's now doing some reCAPTCHA stuff for you, and it's becoming even harder to be able to get into your account.
Yeah, that's true. And have to identify boats or crosswalks or something to actually save my team. So they must have had a problem with it, and now it's going to be a little more challenging. But fortunately, I can see the difference between boats and cars.
Crosswalks. Yes. So what we're going to share with you now, you have to recognize that sentiment may be changing. People might be able to start doing all the change-ups on their teams again. But for us, I believe, Dad, you've used all your wild cards, right?
Yep.
And I've used all my wild cards. And so now it's down to how you use your 3 substitutions the best. You have 3 extra for a total of 6, but those extra 3 are negative 10 points each. And I would always tell you, never take negative points. It's so hard to be able to claw that back. So let's start off with you, Dad. Tell us about your lineup and what your thought process is.
So this lineup I have was at the end of last one, has Sainz, Leclerc, Norris, Magnussen, Perez, and Ferrari. Since I posted this one, I went ahead and went and changed out Sainz for Ricardo because Ricardo is going to get me 0.1 million. And I'm not sure I want to keep Sainz on my team with him DNF twice in a row. I think Bottas may even be a better option at this point.
So you're saying get the points pick with Ricciardo, but you're not committing to Sainz, so it's okay to shift him off.
That's correct.
Now, that now goes over to my lineup, because in my universe, I had Alonso, and over the course of the whole season, he scored 3 fantasy points. The only person close in that ballpark is Schumacher with 6 fantasy points. And so I immediately dropped off Alonso because I knew Norris was probably going to be popular, going to go up in sentiment. And then I'm probably going to keep Norris over Alonso. And then, like you said, deciding about Bottas. I don't think Bottas is going to be strong enough to have him instead of Sainz. And so that's where I'm in my situation of who am I going to put as my 5th. But that means I only have 2 substitutions left. So I don't quite want to do a juggle because I need to see how everyone performs at this brand new track. Now, here's the crazy twist to all of this. Many of you who follow me on Twitter or in the Discord, part of our community, probably heard me lamenting how I thought because of the 1 hour practice session in the wet that Ferrari may have had the pace advantage. It would have been safe to use the sprint race Mega Drive instead of waiting till Miami when he could get the guaranteed power streak. Now, Dad, you end up not getting your Mega Driver saved, right? Tell us about that and how you think you're going to potentially use your Mega Drive coming into this week.
So what happened was I was going to use a Mega Driver, but I was going to put my Delta team that I was into the 1 race challenge. And then I went and tried to do it and I couldn't. I had undone the Mega because I wanted to put it into the 1 race challenge. And then when I saved it, I never put the Mega on. So fortunately, I didn't Mega Drive Leclerc and Turbo Sainz.
And that spared you a lot of sadness because people had this big debate about how and when do you Mega Drive. In a sprint race, the max you can ever get one driver is 16 points, but you have to be P1 in qualifying, P1 at the end of the sprint, win a fastest lap. Whereas with the power streak, you just have to finish in the top 10 during qualifying for 5 points, top 10 in the race for 10 points. And so it's a much lower risk to Mega Drive a driver at Miami, for example. But there's only one driver who's eligible for the power streak, and that's Leclerc. So, Dad, are you going to Mega Drive Leclerc, or are you going to pick up Verstappen and Mega Drive him and then keep turboing? Because I think the problem is if you Mega Drive Leclerc, who do you then decide to turbo? Because you can't do a turbo at the same time as a Mega.
I might do what one of the people did on the 1 race challenge and turbo Perez and Mega Leclerc. Leclerc has that power streak, and Perez has been on the podium recently, and I'm not counting Sainz as going to displace him from the podium. So if he gets 3rd place and he's turboed and Leclerc gets
45 more points, because that's 15
45.
times 3, exactly.
Then I think that's pretty good. I would consider Verstappen, but because it's 2 DNFs, it's going to be a while before he actually even has a power streak, or even if it matches up. I don't even think it'll match up for him. So
no,
I'm
his
thinking
power
about
streaks won't match up unless he DNFs out of a quali. His quali and his race streaks will always be out of sync now.
So that puts him out of me wanting to use him. And so I'm thinking that with Leclerc not doing as well as he'd like this race, he'll be really wanting to do better next race. And so he might actually win the race next time. And I'll probably then see how the second half goes in my Mega at that time. Maybe I'll have Verstappen. Maybe he'll be consistent.
So the biggest issue about Verstappen is he costs too much. Actually, let's kick it over to the spreadsheet so I can show this to you guys. You can find the link in the description for our spreadsheet. Go to the tab called Infographics. Remember how I said earlier Alonso only got 3 points, Mick Schumacher got 6? You can see how they're outliers compared to other individuals. Ricciardo only 28 points for the season. This is why I've stayed away from Ricciardo, but if McLaren can start clawing it back, then that's a good option moving forward. But it sounds like Dad just wants them for the points pick. But if you look at Verstappen, he is 116 points, second most expensive driver, but Russell, who's cheaper than him, has 4 more points. That's the power of reliability, which is why, like you said, Dad, having Perez, having Leclerc, maybe having Russell, you can have 3 really solid drivers than trying to go all in with Verstappen and Leclerc and then trying to figure out who your supporting cast would be. And so this is some data to go and show that until Verstappen gets up past Leclerc, his points are not enough. But, that could all change. But Miami's a brand new track. We do not know if someone's going going to put it into the wall. Let's go down to our constructors because there was some discussion about should I go all in on the top drivers and have a lower constructor? Well, here's the problem. If you look McLaren down, none of them have over 100 points. And if you look at Red Bull, Ferrari, they would be double that. That's why you want to have Ferrari, Red Bull, or even Mercedes, depending on how they're performing. But I wouldn't recommend it because they're too expensive. But this is why constructors so important, because if you're doubling the points every single race, you can't make that up with whatever driver pairing that you may have.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you had an option of staying with Ferrari to get Russell or going with Red Bull and having Bottas, what combination pairing do you think that would? What were your thoughts on that combination?
It probably would depend on how they're looking like in the free practice session. I've tried to get Red Bull on my team too, but then the DNFs were scaring me. But if Red Bull seems like they're going to be the strong one as the season progresses, then you're going to want to have Red Bull because they're going to always be outscoring Ferrari. And like you said, how much is Red Bull going to outscore Ferrari compared to how much is like Russell going to outscore Bottas? I think that Bottas is at the ceiling for the Alfa Romeo and Russell is at the ceiling for the Mercedes. And it proves most of the time that the Mercedes is faster than the Alfa Romeo. That's probably why you would want to have Russell. But then the question is it worth it? Let's go now to our rank tab and we look at driver prices. We see here Russell's the third most expensive driver at 24 million and Bottas is only 9.4 million. I could save so much more money by having Bottas. But then like you're saying is who's the supporting cast? We have so much money just left over, right? So what do you do with all those extra millions? Actually, that's fascinating. Russell has the second most fantasy points. He has an average of 30 points per race, and he's been in the top 5 scores 100% of the time. And TT percent, that's if you're in the ORC Elite. So that's like budgeting. So he's a little too expensive to be on budgets at 100 million less, but he is every race in the top 5 performers. Whereas if you look at Bottas, he's only been in the top 5 a quarter of the time, but he is in your budget 3/4 of the time, 75%. Like you said, Dad, it is a toss up about how you want to put the two drivers. What do you think? What are you leaning towards?
I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to have one team with that combination with Bottas and Red Bull and one with Russell and Ferrari. And then we'll see what happens in the practice. And I might even hold off as long as you can get 10 people on that one race challenge ahead of time. I might just join after the free practice and know which of the two teams to put on there.
Interesting. I'm now looking at streaks, okay? We have Leclerc on a power streak. You probably want to have him on your team. Perez can get +5 for quali. Verstappen can get +5 for quali. Russell, though, is the only other driver eligible for a race streak. So then maybe I want to have Russell over Bottas because if I have Russell, that's an additional 10 points that could help overcome the deficit between running a Ferrari versus a Red Bull. But let's look down here. McLaren could get +5 for a quali streak. Red Bull and Ferrari both don't have any streak potentials this race. So if it looks like Ferrari and Red Bull are going to be split where it's like a 1 and 2, 1 and 2 instead of a Red Bull in the front versus Ferrari in the front, then maybe having Ferrari and Russell will be able to pay that 10-point deficit. But if it looks like Red Bull is just going to be faster than both Ferraris, then you probably want to go the safer option and have Bottas and Red Bull. Because here's the thing, Sainz is the weakest of the 4 drivers right now because he pushes the car a little too much. Perez will not push his car to the point where it's going to break down. That was what was killing Verstappen. But at the end of the day, I think that if you're going to pick between a Ferrari and a Red Bull, and you know that Verstappen can win the race and Perez can get on the podium, then that leaves Leclerc to be fighting by himself. And that's probably another reason why Red Bull is going to become the meta moving forward if they fix the reliability. Like to promo for you our one race challenge season-long league. We have 1,125 entrant teams. Thank you to everyone who joins. This is your opportunity to be able to click on people's different teams, see how they do. You can find the link in the description below. Code will be on the screen. Let's take a look here actually at our number 1 team. That's Gas by Helder M. He's got the Irish flag and he's got almost 1,000 points on the season already. He's sitting at 977 with a value of 102.6. So he wasn't even on the huge wildcard trading frenzy. This goes to show how stability can do wonders. He turboed Perez. I got him 88 points this last race. Mega driver Leclerc got 90. He had Red Bull, which made the difference with 99 points, and then had the supporting cast of Bottas with 34 and Magnussen with 18. Hats off to you, Helder. And that that goes to show that we're even seeing a bunch of momentum. Because here's the thing, that we thought, meta, everyone's just going to have the same teams. But here we're seeing that as the season progresses, people are making little adjustments here and there, and that can boost you or lower you in the standings.
Yeah, while some people were afraid of Red Bull because of Verstappen's reliability issues, he took a chance on him, and it really paid dividends.
It was really good, especially when the Ferrari only scored 30 points. So that's 69 more points. I would like to now promo for you our one race challenge. Thank you to the people who've already joined. Once we get 10, I can put our custom graphics for Miami. And if we can at least get 50 people to join, then we'll be submitted in the large league category. And this is your opportunity to have one team, one opportunity, one entrant to get on our ORC Leaderboard. We give the top 3 points a gold, silver, and bronze. You show up on our spreadsheet leaderboard, and the top step of the podium will get to hear their national anthem at the end of our fantasy podcast. Link in the description below, code on the screen. Dad, you and I, tough week, but we can rebound. Now, Dad, how do you think using a Mega Driver or Turbo combination might impact your chances on the one race challenge, right? Because we had that discussion on the phone. Dominick had commented in an earlier podcast off air that using a Mega Driver means that he can't get the turbo points. So how are you going to play that?
I was going to go with Verstappen as a Mega Driver because he can't be turboed. But after seeing the example of
Helder,
I'm really thinking about Mega driving Leclerc this next race and turboing Perez. It worked with him this race, so maybe it'll work for me next race.
It seems like Perez is a safe option, and he's cheaper than Verstappen, which would allow you some more flexibility, especially, Dad, if you were wanting to get Red Bull on your team. Here's the thing. I was doing the math. What is the difference between having Verstappen and Perez on your team or having Perez and Red Bull?
Well, if you have the constructor, then you get the points that Verstappen would make without having to pay as much for him. If you can have another driver that is doing well.
True. Let me kick it over to the spreadsheet so you can see this and what a difference it makes. We're back to the infographics tab. Look at the price for Verstappen. 30.3 million. He's netted 116 points. Red Bull, 32.1 million and 204 points. So 32.1 versus 30.3. It's really 1 to 2 million tops difference. And the other one has scored roughly 100 points more. That is the benefit of having a constructor because you get 2 drivers worth of points. But here's the other thing to take in consideration. You look over to the value to points per million. You look at Verstappen, he is at a negative 2% value. If you were to scroll down to Red Bull though, Red Bull is at 0 or flat. So that means Red Bull is priced about as much as they are giving you in points, whereas Verstappen is overpriced by 2%. This is the reason why you want to have Red Bull over Verstappen. And then the third thing that you want to keep in mind is that having Perez plus Red Bull is like a free turboing of Perez because you get Perez's points, then you get his teammates' points. Is if you had Red Bull gone and you had only Verstappen plus Perez is like just having Red Bull by itself, except you can also get the driver bonus, which have been vastly diminished this year because in the past, constructor didn't get as much included. Now they get all the extras with the exception of your beating your teammate. So Dad, after you think about that, after we crunch some of the numbers, you look to be on the phone, don't ya? So we'll be right back after this commercial break. Type in the comments below what you think Verstappen versus Red Bull. We don't have any sponsors on this channel, so if you'd like to sponsor us, quick plug. You can join our Discord community absolutely free. You can join our Twitter community absolutely free. You can like, subscribe, hit that bell notification to know when we go live or when we do record videos and post them. Or you can support us on Patreon. We have this cool bot that got developed for our Discord community to do price alerts, sentiment tracking, and it would be great to be able to have your support on this PITWALL community. Love to have you as a part of the Pit Crew. Now back to the podcast. It's now time for League DRD. The preseason finished with the first 3 races of the season as I got great feedback on Twitter. Some of you saying, why can't they just make resets once you know what the lineups are all about and who's hot and who's not? Well, that's why we do a preseason in our League DRD. And now we just finished the first race of the regular season. So let's kick it over to the spreadsheet. We'll start off with match number 1 between myself and Paola. I went Verstappen and Norris, and because League DRD has a ceiling of 30 points and a floor of 0, I scored maximum points that you could get. 60 points with Verstappen and Norris, both being on the podium, and that beat out Sainz and Ocon. For Paola, Sainz, of course, not hitting 0 because he scored points in the sprint. And then for the court race, though, Alonso and Ricciardo, nope, those were not good picks. And Paola ended up smashing it with Perez and Magnussen, a total of 48 points, which means you and I both get 1 crown and 1 credit. For those of you watching, a crown is awarded as a championship point. A credit is awarded if you didn't win a match, which you could use to buy power-ups. So Paola, you and I are even. How do you feel with this pick from the first race of the regular season?
I feel good. I think there might have been some of you who questioned my decision not to pick up Ricciardo, and now I fully stand behind that decision.
Big brain.
And obviously a disappointment on Sainz. It looks like there's really no combo that I could have picked to beat Verstappen and Norris together. So I think overall, pretty good week.
True. I guess it's better that you at least got a victory. I guess if you had put the other combination in the King's race, you still would have won the court race because I only got 7 points. At the end of the day, you want to be scoring those crowns. Now, here's the difference. Because I won the King's race and she won the court race, that means that I will then be paired in the match of Kings this coming race, which means that if I win the King's race again, I will get 2 points instead of 1. So that's one of the benefits of going for King's race victories, even though originally they would only give 1 crown per King's race or court race victory, which brings us now to Dominick and Dad's matchup. Dad, instead of having Verstappen and Norris, he did Perez and Norris. And what do you know? He also got maximum points, 60, beating out Dominick, Sainz, and Ocon. It actually looks like Paola and Dominick did the exact same strategy for the King's race. And so Dad gets a crown, Dominick gets a credit, but then Dominick, with a different combination than Paola, still scored 48 points in the court race. Wow, how Dominick and Paola just mirrored each other with Magnussen and Bottas, 48 points versus Dad's Verstappen Alonso of 32. Okay, bro, how did this strategy pan out? And then Dad, how did you feel about your strategy pairing up?
The thing about mirroring somebody else is it's really great when it wins you the King's race, not so much when it doesn't. I am glad to have still at least got 1 point so that I'm not in last. I thought Red Bull was going to have problems, and they didn't. I mean, this is what happens when they don't have problems.
Domination.
So I thought that Alonso was going to do better than he did. And obviously that was a disappointing, but I'm happy to get a crown and go to the King's race.
Nice. So Dad and I will advance to the match of Kings, and Paola and Dominick will have the match of Lords. Now we will
It's
still
like
have a King's race.
record at this point.
Say what, bro?
It's like a broken record at this point. How many times have you two gone against each other in the King's race?
I don't remember. We'd have to look in those stats for last season. Well, we'll go over to the DRD races and check. On the right-hand side, we have our points that are scored. These translate now to your crowns and credits. And so we're all even. Look at that. We're all tied with 1 crown. Woo! And we also have 1 credit. Don't forget that you can use that credit this race. You can either turbo a driver in your King's race or turbo a driver in your court race. This now brings us back to our DRD teams. We're going to put this to draft, and we need to verify who the wild cards are. Yes, Dad. What's up?
So just to clarify, when you turbo someone and they get max points, it's double max points?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if they score 30, then it would become 60. That is correct. Leclerc, with an average of 30 points, stays on. Hamilton has dropped below the threshold, is no longer a wild card. Perez has now an average of 22 points, so he is now the 2nd wild card. Russell remains. Wow, Russell is crazy, guys. Russell's race average is 29 points. Leclerc's average is 30. Russell has finished in the top 5 all 4 races, the only driver to do so. Wow, Russell's consistent. So that means those are our 3 wild cards, the ones that you cannot draft: Leclerc, Perez, and Russell. And what that means is when we select our keepers, that if you have any driver who has now become a wild card, they are now off the board. So that means that Paola loses Perez and Dad loses chooses Perez.
Dun, dun, dun.
So
Okay.
how do we decide between me and Paola who's going first?
Okay, during the regular season, the lower seed will always pick their keeper and draft first. Because we had the regular season, all of us are tied, we'll now look back at the preseason. So between Dominick and Paola, who was lower seeded coming out of the preseason? That would
Paola.
be Paola. So that means, Paola, you get to pick your keeper first. Your options are Sainz, Ocon, or Magnussen.
Signs for the comeback.
Okay, so
No.
Sainz.
No, yes. Yeah.
Oh, you were waffling.
I
Okay.
know.
Sainz will be your keeper. And Dominick, your options are Sainz. Well, actually, now that you pick Sainz, you can't pick Sainz.
No, I heard signs.
So Ocon, Magnussen, or Bottas?
You know, having Verstappen as a keeper would be real sick right about now. Oh, Dad, I guess that's going to be your thing to do, huh? Because you're the lower seed between you and Jeanmark, so...
That's true.
See, how did Magnussen place? He was like 9th. That put me dead in the middle.
For those of you who are watching or listening, the reason why Dominick is trying to debate between these, we do League DRD or driver rotational draft based off of the results of the previous race. So the reason why Paola can easily pick Sainz is because he DNF'd, which means that he's at the bottom, which gives her the pick of anybody for her second draft pick. And Dominick is looking at Ocon, Magnussen, and Bottas, and depending on where they placed, will then decide how powerful his next draft pick can be, because we're drafting 4 drivers. So Dominick, after looking it over,
I'm going to stick with Bottas.
so Dominick is keeping Bottas. Dad and I, Dad is the lower seed coming out of the preseason, so your options are Verstappen, Norris, or Alonso. I wonder who you're going to have as your keeper.
Well, even though Norris is probably a little more consistent, I'll take Verstappen, hoping that he won't DNF again.
I'm going to laugh my way all the way to the bank because Dad is picking the driver who finished first, which means Dad only has one option for his second pick, doesn't he?
I have 2 options.
Oh, because there was 2 DNFs? Okay, so Dad's got some options. Well, that takes Verstappen off the board for me. So I'm going to keep Norris.
Which doesn't give you a whole lot.
So
of
I'm trying to remember, does Dad get to pick 2 on top of this, or does he only get to pick 1 and then you pick 2?
So Dad would be first keeper and then first draft pick. So Dad can only draft 1 person.
And then you get to pick your 2, and then he gets to pick his last one?
Correct. Yep, let's now go to DRD draft. Like we said, the ones in green are the ones that will have to be seen as the same. Sainz and Alonso. Oh, I see why Dad picked Verstappen, because he's now going to go and draft Sainz.
Sign. Yep, you're right.
Yep, that's the strategy.
Yeah, he was laughing all the way to the bank, wasn't he?
Laughing all the way to the bank.
Bank
Okay,
must not have been that far.
we're going to start with the match of lords. Paola and Dominick. Paola, you get to draft first, and you drafted Sainz, so you get the pick of Norris down.
Excellent. I want to believe in Hamilton still.
Okay, so you're going to draft.
But everything, no, but
Oh, sorry.
But
all the numbers say that's not a good idea.
His average is 19 points, but he only scored 5 from this last race.
And we're looking at Miami. We
you're
don't
not
have.
picking up Verstappen?
Wait a second. Wait, that's an option? No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Yes, Verstappen
Sainz-
is
Sainz is
DNF'd
at the
enough so
bottom,
that he's
so you
not a
can pick
wild card.
anybody.
Yep.
Well, then that's an easy choice. Verstappen it is.
Dominick, you are very kind to your opponent there.
Very kind indeed.
Very good conscience allow somebody who has the option for Verstappen not at least consider it.
Yeah, well, when you said Norris down, I just forgot about him for a second there.
Oh
So-
yeah, I'm sorry, I misled you. I did leave out Verstappen. I am so sorry. I misled you. Yes, I did.
I was being a good student, you know?
Right, you're doing as
He's a
you were
liar.
told, and I was the misinformed one. No. Ah. Okay, Dominick, you get to draft twice. You get to start with Bottas, and I will get it right this time. Latifi down.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ricardo. The only reason he did so bad was his run-in with Sainz, I think.
Okay,
I'm sure
so-
he'll have a bounce back. And then from Ricardo,
Which is Norris down.
yeah, I'm going to pick up Norris.
Doubling on McLaren.
Well, considering how good they've been placing recently, doesn't seem so bad.
Well, this is my theory as to why they did so good this last race. It was colder conditions, and so their brake issues that they were having, they were mitigated because they were wet and cold. So they weren't overheating. This is another reason why people believe that Aston Martin did better. The colder, wet conditions suited the Aston Martin. And so Miami, which is going to be a hot street race, we're going to have to check the reliability of the McLarens, and hopefully they can maintain their form. Okay, this now comes to Paola. You get to draft from Verstappen. You have one choice, Alonso.
Oh, no. I didn't even think about this.
Oh, Alonso it is.
Okay, and now Alonso lets you pick the
Schumacher.
rest from Vettel down.
Oh, actually, she can pick from Tsunoda down, can't she? Or she already have Tsunoda?
Did I say Vettel? I'm sorry, I'm misreading again. Yes, Tsunoda down. Sorry. Oops.
I'm going against her and he's trying to screw her over. What's going on here, man?
To be too powerful, she makes it to the King's race.
I don't think I'll get the chance to have Hamilton and Verstappen on my roster probably again, so I'll go with that.
Okie dokie.
And then I, of course, have to pick up Schumacher.
Yes, and so the rule is that if your pick is already taken, you have to go one above.
I kind of missed last year's Schumacher, who would have been an easy choice.
Schumacher with an average of 4 points. The only one less than him is Alonso.
And what made Schumacher so good last year was the fact that his teammate, Mazepin, he was always outscoring him. Now
True.
he has Magnussen, he's not outscoring him.
And Schumacher wasn't as fast of a car, so he would usually gain positions as other people was crashing. Now he's fast enough that he's losing positions. He was like Russell last year at Williams. Which now brings us to the match of kings. Dad, being the lower seed, gets to draft first with
Man,
Verstappen.
that's a hard one. Wow.
Yeah,
But,
Alonso all the way.
Paola gave a good example. I'll follow her, so I'll get signs.
Okay, watch him DNF again.
Yeah, well, I have two that DNF'd in the last 2 races, so I'm doing real well.
Oof. Okay,
Who
well,
gave me Latifi? Come on. I said signs. who has a problem?
Look, man, if you're not gonna pick him, somebody has to pick him up. All right.
Maybe later.
Someone's
Right
trying
now,
to
I'm
hack
signs.
into our sheet.
Okay, so now Norris leaves me with 2 options. Alonso or Ricardo. I'm not trusting Alonso. Give me that sweet, sweet Ricardo. And then Ricardo gives me Bottas down. Give me that sweet, sweet Bottas. Okay, Dad. Now your options are from Signs, which gives you Tsunoda down.
Yeah, that was a pretty good choice there, getting Bottas. He was doing good so far. Do I trust Hamilton more or do I trust Ocon more? Do I follow Paola's example or not? I really haven't heard much from Ocon, so, man, that's a hard decision.
You were telling me you want to pick a driver that you hear about. So what are you hearing about Hamilton? Good or bad?
Not so good.
So think about this. If you're not hearing anything from Ocon and his race average is 19, then that's good, right? You want a quiet, steady driver.
I would be careful with the advice that your opponent is giving you. Paola was saying it.
Latifi.
If Paola was the one saying it, then be like, maybe she doesn't have so much interest in what happens to you.
It seems like on hot races, Hamilton does better. And Ocon's only scoring so much because Alonso is having trouble. So he's getting the points for beating his teammate.
Okay. So you are also going to double dip and get Verstappen and Hamilton, I see.
I'm thinking about it. So let me get Hamilton. Like Paula says, you aren't going to get him on your team very often.
Hamilton gives you Vettel down.
I think I'll go with Magnussen.
That was who I was going to get. Maybe that's why I was going so quickly. Okay, I've got Latifi, Schumacher, or Alonso with an average of 7, an average of 4, and an average of 3.
Hey, welcome to my world.
Are we saying that Latifi is the best of these 3 drivers?
Unless you trust that Alonso won't DNF.
I'm going to go Alonso.
Dang, man. No love for Latifi with a higher average.
Because Latifi is at the back of the grid. I'd much rather pick a driver who might score good points than one that won't.
He would rather pick the guy who finishes the race, but who has higher points than the guy who doesn't finish the race like ever.
What will we do if we ever meet Latifi? I won't. I'll just slowly walk away. I'll be too embarrassed.
No. I have mad love for Latifi. He keeps things interesting.
Okay, this is what I would do. if we were going to actually go to a race and meet Latifi, I would want a special printed shirt that would say Latifi 3 times. It would just say Latifi, and I'd ask him to sign it because I think we should at least give the guy some love.
I don't know. Look. Get a soundbite of him saying Latifi 3 times, and then every time we do it, we like add the soundbite in. So he's cheering with us.
Latifi.
I would say since we really don't have a good American driver, that we can support our Canadian friends and maybe even sing "Oh Canada" for him.
Yeah, that's all good for you to say. Okay, enough of this.
Well, I want him to co-sign my Agent of Chaos t-shirt.
Ooh, yes. You know, it's sounding like we're about to release some PITWALL merch. If that's something you guys are interested, put in the comments below. I don't know how to do that whole merch thing, but we're willing to do it if you want it. Now for our lineups. Paola with Sainz, Verstappen, Alonso, and Hamilton. Dominick with Bottas, Ricciardo, Norris, and Schumacher. Okay, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
Oh my, this is going to be a thing.
So she put Verstappen and Sainz in the King's race and Hamilton Alonso in the court race. And then Dominick put Norris and Bottas in the King's race and Ricciardo and Schumacher court race.
This is the thing that gets me all messed up about fantasy. Okay, first of all, you're never going to hear me root against Sainz ever. So if I have to choose between winning a fantasy King's race or having Sainz do good, I'm picking the second option every time. That was pretty good strategy, Paola.
That's convenient to say when I'm clearly going to dominate.
Now, here's the rule about the match of kings. Because Dad and I are in the match of kings, whoever wins the king's race will get 2 points, but will then forfeit the court race, which means that the other person automatically gets a point. And so then I have to make a decision, right? Do I spend credits to somehow beat Dad's Verstappen, whoever else he puts in there, probably Sainz, or save my credit for when I think that I have a better shot at winning the King's race, knowing that I'm guaranteed at least 1 crown if Dad wins the King's race. And then Dad has to decide, does he spend a credit if it's already going to guarantee him a win? Because the reason why we get a credit is because we didn't get a crown. So what you think in the world of strategy, your credit should give you a crown when you use it. If not, you have wasted that opportunity to balance back up in the championship fight.
I mean, but if you're doing simple game theory, a credit is worth twice as much in the King's race.
Oh!
That's simple game theory.
True. That's true. That's an opportunity. That's why, Dominick, last season you tried to save all your credits so that when you got in the King's race, you could keep it. Because now your credits are actually giving you double. Wow. 3, 2, 1, reveal! That is exactly what I thought Dad was going to do. He put in the heavy hammer of Verstappen plus Sainz. And here's my strategy. I'm not going to use my credits right now early on the season because I know for a fact that if Verstappen gets his reliability under control, he's going to become a wild card, which means that I don't have to worry about fighting him in the King's race. And then I have a much better chance when I'm trying to turbo people. So then I put the same thing as Dominick, but with a slight twist. Norris and Ricciardo, whereas he split it between the two. And then Dad had Hamilton and Magnussen versus Bottas and Alonso. Yeah.
So that means that McLaren, your favorite constructor, is going to go against a Ferrari and a Red Bull.
Correct. And actually, this is genius from you and Paola, because let's say Verstappen wins the race again and his average goes too high and he becomes a wild card, you can still keep Sainz as your keeper.
Of course, Paula and I thought that far ahead. Of course.
Of course.
Didn't we, Paula?
Of course. Latifi told me to.
Well, there we are. Good luck for our coming League DRD matchups. It's now time for the Game Center. Dad, explain to us what we are doing.
So this one's called the Odd One Out. Dominick's going to explain how the points go.
If the first person gets it right, they get 2 points with a potential bonus point of an extra one by explaining what it is. If I get it right but can't explain, then the next person can get the point by explaining it. And then if they can't, then the last person can get a point by explaining it. However, if I don't get it right to begin with, I don't get the 2 points. And then the next person has a potential of 1 plus the 1 bonus point for getting it right and explaining, et cetera, et cetera. It'll make way more sense as soon as this gets going.
Okay, so to review, if you can explain why, you get a bonus point. And if it's your turn, then you get the most points by getting it right, 2 points. If there's a steal, 1 point, or 0, depending on where you are in the order. Is there 3 rounds, Dad? 3 themes? You take us through it.
So the first theme, I'm going to give you the number of the cars, and you need to tell me, based on their nationalities, who's the odd one out.
You're going to give us the numbers of the cars, but we're trying to figure out, based off of nationality, which one
the drivers
does not
of the numbers
belong. Okay.
So you're going to have to find the 2 people. You're going to have to find the 2 drivers of the same nationality.
You tell me who's not that nationality.
Okie dokie. I
Okay,
guess.
Paula, you get the option of going first or deferring it.
Go first.
Hey,
Okay.
step it up.
You can guess 1, 2, or 3. Which number do you want?
Number 1.
Number 1. Okay. Here's the numbers. You can write it down if you like.
Okay.
4, 23, 63. Again, 4, 23, 63.
Okay. And we are discriminating.
Discriminating?
Stop.
Yeah, if you're not from our country, we're discriminating against you.
Well, she's just trying to ascertain which one doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this one is pretty straightforward.
Remember, don't say the names of the number.
Okay.
Just the number is what I want.
I think 23 is the one.
Okay, great. So you get 2 points. For bonus, why is he out? Why is that number out?
Because he is not from England.
Right. So who is it? Just for curiosity.
Albon.
Okay, that's
Albon
going
is
to be
not
very
British.
controversial in the comments, Dad. That's going to be very controversial.
Yes. So he was born in.
Exactly. Dad didn't ask us what country they race for. He asked what nationality they
Correct.
are. Yes, he might have the Thai flag as his racing, but he is a British citizen and he was born in Britain. That's going to be hugely controversial.
I mean,
That was tricky.
I feel like just say based on the flag on the F1 site.
So,
Okay.
well, then that's not nationality. That's what country you race for.
Okay, so I need to change that. So these are based on their country of racing.
Correct. So,
Who
for
they
example,
represent.
Nico Rosberg, who was the 2016 champion, he raced for Germany, right? But he had 2 options based off his dad's nationality. And his dad raced, I believe, for Finland. You have guys who can move about, like, for example, in Monaco, right? Their nationality is technically Monaco because that's where they live there, but they race for a different country because they were born somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah,
Okay,
these need
well,
to be
I'm
the
glad-
countries you race for.
I'm glad that didn't cost her any points. So that's good. Thank you, Paula. But so the numbers are the country that they're racing for, not their nationality. Sorry for that confusion.
That's fine. Okay, so you get 3 points.
Okay, Dominic, you can either do 2 or 3.
Let's go with 3.
3. The number 6, the number 18, and the number 31. 6, 18, 31.
Okay, so I'm going to say that the odd one out is 31
Okay.
because 31 does not drive for Canada.
Very good.
Good job, bro. 3 points. Dominick was bold. He didn't even wait for Dad to confirm if he had the right number.
Oh my goodness! I didn't even...
Right? Dominick could have given away the answer, but got the wrong number.
If I got it wrong... And then Jeanmark would have gotten the 2 points, one plus the steal for the next one.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Dominick was bold. Okay.
I'm glad you
Man,
got it right.
I'm just feeling. I remember when we did the numbers like a couple weeks ago. I'm still feeling that.
Okay, so that means you're left with number 2, Jeanmark.
Okay.
So if you can write these numbers down.
Sure.
5, 24, 47.
Okay, the odd one out is number 24.
And why?
That was so fast.
It's not German.
Right.
I don't even remember what the two numbers were. What did you say?
5, 24, 47, and he said 24 is not German.
Do we want to discuss that, or is that going to give away information for other rounds to say who the drivers are?
I think it's a good review. I don't think it's going to be...
Let's review. So the first one was 4:23.63, right? So that was Norris. 23 is Guan Yu. No,
that's 24.
Alex Albon. There you go. And then 63 is George Russell. Okay.
She says the answer. I can't remember.
Right. And then we had 6:18.31. So 6 is Latifi, 18 is Stroll, 31 is Ocon. And then here we had 5, 24, and 47. So Vettel, 24 is Guan Yu Zhou, and 47 is Mick Schumacher.
Okay, so that was a good review. That might help stimulate your brains. Okay, we're ready for the second round. The second round is the constructors with their drivers.
Constructors with their drivers. That's odd pairing.
Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully that will make sense once we get going.
Okay, I'll be typing this down for us.
And so, Dominic, 1, 2, or 3?
Now it's not the time for big brain.
Just pick a number.
No. I went with 3 last time, didn't I?
Yep, you did.
Okay, I'm going to go with 3 again.
Yeah, that's probably a good choice. Write this down. 10, 16, 22.
Oh, wait. What are we trying to do? The odd went out, and it's based off the constructor or the driver?
It's based on the constructor with their drivers.
22.
Oh, so what you're saying is one of these numbers doesn't race for that constructor. Is that what you're trying to
Correct.
say? Okay, that's a lot simpler. Okay. So which of these numbers don't race for the same team?
Okay, 10,
16, 22.
10, 16, and 22.
Oh, that's...
Oh,
Yeah, I just figured it out. I was like, oh.
Well, the nice thing is 16 is pretty easy to remember. So I'm going to go with 16.
Okay, that's correct. What's the reason?
Because he drives for the greatest team ever.
That doesn't explain what... That doesn't explain...
No, that is an explanation, and I am, in fact, subjectively right.
Subjectively. Now, is that your final answer?
Do I still get the point?
Not with that
Okay,
answer.
well, that's not my final answer, apparently.
can I steal? Wait, how does one...
No, Jeanmark is...
Dominick is trying to play games here.
That's right.
He's trying to play games.
So the answer is that he doesn't drive for AlphaTauri.
Very good. So that's right.
Paola's like, I'm going to get you.
Okay, so Jeanmark, that leaves 1 and 2 for you.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2. Didn't you do 2 last time too?
Don't remember.
Okay. Type these out. Number 3, number 16, and number 55.
Odd number out is 3 because he does not race for Ferrari.
That is correct.
We're getting 16 2 times in a row, huh?
Yeah, I like them. No. So who was the driver?
The odd one out, number
Yes.
3, that would be for Verstappen. Maybe you should have put number
Really?
1.
Verstappen?
Oh, no, he's
No.
33. He's 33. Oh, my bad. So 3 would be Ricardo.
No, he's 1 now.
Well, that's why I was
right.
telling Dad he had it wrong. But no, it was Ricardo who's number 3, not Verstappen. I'm sorry. I messed that up. Good thing that was not dependent on my bonus point. Good thing.
I've never heard somebody so gung-ho about being wrong. Yeah, number 3 is definitely Verstappen.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. So
I did get full points. I just got the extra info wrong.
Right. So
You know,
Ricardo was
Verstappen
not
did
a
want
Ferrari
number
driver.
3. Verstappen did want number 3 when he came into the league, but Ricardo already had it, and that's why he doubled it. 33. Well, double it. I mean, is the number doubled? He didn't. Yeah. Anyways.
Okay. Paola, that leaves you with number 1.
Oh, no.
No, it's not too bad. Are you ready?
Yep.
1, 11,
Oh, come
22. 1, 11, 22.
We just had 22, and I remember, and 22 was paired with 10. So it has to be 22. That is the odd one out.
Okay.
And since 1 is for Verstappen, then 11 must be Perez.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this deduction.
Good.
So why
And
is number 22 the odd one out?
22 is because he does not drive for Red Bull.
Very good. And
Oh.
now just for information's purposes, who is 22?
That is
Did a lot of passing.
Gasly's partner. I can never say his name properly.
What a slide that was. She was like, that's Pierre Gasly Tsunoda, is what I meant to say.
I said partner. That's Yuki.
Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah,
okay.
that's Tsunoda.
There we go. So
Okay.
we're all tied up right now going into round 3.
Oh, that was a struggle. The thing is, I thought, I'm glad you guys corrected me because I was gonna say, what's his name? Wanju.
Oh, Guan Yu Zhou?
Yeah, for like 1 second. But that
Because he's 24, but Tsunoda's 22.
exactly.
And Albon's 23. So our 3 Asian country flagged racing drivers are in sequential order. I did not know that.
Very
Okay.
good deduction. So, this next one is round 3. It's considering last year. This is last year's components,
Okay.
but it's the
Year.
construction. It's the constructors and what power units they were using.
Okay. So you're going to give us numbers or you're going to give us teams?
Teams.
You're going to give us 3 teams, and we have to figure out which of the teams is the odd one out because of having a different power unit.
Correct.
Okay, here we go.
Jeanmark, 1, 2, or 3?
1.
1. Alfa Romeo, Haas, Mercedes.
Mercedes, because they have the Mercedes engine. Well, I guess the reason is because they don't have a Ferrari engine.
That is correct.
3 points.
That was the easy one.
Okay. Paola, 2 or 3?
I'm not gonna do good with this. 2.
Okay. Alfa Romeo again. AlphaTauri and Red Bull. Remember, this is last year's engines.
Alfa Romeo
Mm-hmm.
had. Okay, what was the second one?
AlphaTauri
Alpha Tauri.
and Red Bull.
Don't let it fool you. It's clearly that the first two had the Alpha engine. It's very good. The Alpha engine's very powerful.
Tauri had. So Alfa Romeo's the odd one out.
Okay, so you got one. You got that point. What's the for the bonus? What's the reason?
Because Alpha Tauri and Red Bull both had Honda.
Right. Good.
Do they
still
call
have-
it the
they don't
do they
have-
call it the
they
Red
don't
Bull
have-
engine now?
It's called the Red Bull powertrain.
Okay.
And so my question was Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Mercedes. And I said Mercedes was the odd one out because they didn't run the Ferrari engine. So you had Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, and Red Bull. So Alfa Romeo would have
Yeah.
been running the Ferrari engine.
That one was pretty
Well,
easy.
I'm going to just say it right now. The answer to mine is going to be Renault. It's going to be Alpine with the Renault. I bet you. Go ahead and give me
Okay.
the last one.
Are you
Hitting with
ready?
Mercedes.
Okay. The first one is Alpine.
Uh-huh.
Second one's Mercedes.
Uh-huh.
Third one is Williams.
Dominick had projection powers pre-clogging this.
Yeah, I was like, it has to be. It's the Renault engine. So yeah, it's Alpine's the odd one out with his Renault.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's rephrase that. Alpine is out because it wasn't using which engine?
The Mercedes engine.
Very good. Okay.
See,
Okay.
I knew it. I was like, Alpine has to get in here somewhere.
Then the reason
since
why is
that's-
because there's only 4 engines, right? You have a Ferrari, a Mercedes, a Renault, and
Honda.
Honda. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Since you're all revved up and you guys are all ready
Tied.
for so you're ready for the tiebreaker. The first one typing because that way,
Yes.
because if 2 people say at the same time and someone's right, someone's wrong.
Okay.
Okay. Are you guys ready? Okay, she's ready. She just
I
exhaled.
was about to
That's
say,
good.
Dominick didn't even have his hands on the keyboard, and then he immediately put his hands on the keyboard.
I have my water on my jug.
Okay, here's the numbers.
Okay.
11, 14, 63. 11, 14, 63. All right, it looks like Jeanmark went first, and
I put
he said
63.
63. And why did you, that is correct? Why
Yes!
Why 63?
Because he is not a Latino or a Spanish nationality.
That is correct. He's not.
Yes! That's 2 points.
Because 11 is Perez, and he does speak Spanish, and 14 because he does also.
Well, we don't want to come out like, and I don't know if Latifi can't speak Spanish, but I'm going to stick by my guns that he's not from a Spanish country.
I probably that wasn't the exact
He
answer I
doesn't
gave.
represent a Spanish country.
Thank
as
you. He does
drives.
not represent. There you go. There you go.
Here's the actual reason I put. Russell is not a native Spanish speaker.
Okay, but I said almost the same thing.
You did.
Yeah.
They'll give it to you because they're going to do better on this one, right?
Okay, let me get my keyboard ready.
So
Yep.
9, 47, 55. 9, 47, 55.
9.
All right, Jeanmark has guessed 55, and that is correct. And why is that?
Yes!
I am not.
So, what is the reason to see if they can steal or if you got the reason?
Yeah. Okay, so
And this is considering last year, by the way.
yeah, I was about to say because I don't recognize 9.
Yeah, because 9 is not on there, and then
Wait, what were that? It was 9:47 and what?
55.
oh, I know 55.
Yeah, I know 55. I know 47, and I now know who 9 was.
So what's the answer?
The
Oh,
answer
yeah.
is that he was not a rookie.
That is a good question. That is not
A
why I
good
put
question.
that. I put.
Oh, wait, let me rephrase it. He was not racing.
Hold on. So he said he was not a rookie.
I could also say another reason.
I suppose that would work. That's not what I had, but
Okay.
you want to say?
Can I put the other
Was it-
reason? He doesn't
Wait,
race
country?
He doesn't race for Haas.
Right? He didn't race for Haas last year.
Okay.
Don't overthink this one. Okay? Are you ready?
No.
Yep.
Alfa Romeo, Alpine, and Aston Martin.
Alfa Romeo.
Oh my gosh, we're getting smoked, dude.
Wait, what?
Jeanmark guessed, but he's wrong.
Oh,
Unless he has a
my
better
speed
explanation.
backfired. See, the reason is if you get it right, you get a little time to think. See?
So his is wrong. So you
Okay.
guys have 50% chance of getting the right one. Whoever wants to put the next one in.
So instead of getting what? One? No, they can still get a point. They can still get a point for being right. Yeah?
Well, they can still get 2 because you're wrong. And it wasn't for you. This is a speed round.
Yeah.
So they potentially could get 2 points yet.
Oh, and that's why they're waiting because they don't want to immediately give someone else a point. Oh, I see.
I'm gonna go with Alfa Romeo, and my reason is because it's the only one out of. No, because if I'm right, I'm right. Is it Alfa Romeo?
No.
Okay, but I actually have a reason though.
Okay, tell us.
Alfa Romeo is the only out of those 3 that doesn't have all of its drivers from last year. That is in fact a correct statement.
Okay. I'll have to. Can you?
So Alfa Romeo.
Can you think?
Oh,
Alpine has both of its drivers from last year. Aston Martin has both of its drivers from last year. Alfa Romeo lost Kenny. That is in fact a correct
and
statement.
replaced Giovinazzi. They replaced both their drivers.
That is a correct statement.
You're still saying the odd one out. So what was your reasoning on Alpine, or you didn't have one? You're just gaining time.
Oh, Alpine. Let's see. Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin.
That's thinking.
Okay. So,
No. I don't think I have a reason.
So Paola, go ahead and you can guess the last one, and you can tell me if you guess why I'm thinking, then you also can get a point.
Yes.
Okay.
So you know what the other option is.
So we're giving
Aston
Dominick
Martin.
2 points.
Yes.
So
And then Paola can still get 2
Aston
points.
Martin.
Okay.
Aston Martin. And why would I pick Aston Martin? Remember I said don't overthink this.
Stupid. Get out of here with that nonsense. Get out of here with that.
Whoa.
No. Get out of here with that. That's trash.
I don't know.
It's because both Alfa Romeo and Alpine start with AL. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. Okay, hold on. Give me a sec.
Is it really?
Yeah, I just want to give you guys an easy one.
What? Nonsense. Dog's over here thinking big brain stats, and Dad's over here like... Okay, so Paola gets 1 point, but she didn't get the answer?
I don't think I did.
So she gets 1 point for getting the right constructor.
Okay. What? That didn't start with an AL.
Overthinking it.
No wonder Dominick got 2 points. Dad was doing the easiest thing in the world, and Dominick pulled out some random stat out of his brain. He was over here thinking. Okay. Okay.
Well, I
so
hope some of you at home got that.
Yeah. Right now, Paola with a point, Dominick with 2, me with 4. So what I'm learning now,
one left.
What I'm learning with the odd one out is if you have a solid explanation, you can still get some points.
Okay, but real curious question though. If I put Aston Martin as the answer and said because James Bond has never been in an Alpine or an Alfa Romeo, would that have been a correct answer?
No.
That would have been a funny answer. Okay.
Or you could also say that the other two have not had a James Bond promo on their car. So that actually happened in F1.
Okay, this is my last one.
Best case scenario, I can tie with Jeanmark.
Okay, number 4. This is concerned last year.
Okay.
Not this year.
Why?
Last year.
I have no memory of last year.
Okay.
It's okay.
So this is a challenging one. You may have to think about this one. After that real easy one, last one, I decided to make this one a little more challenging.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alpine, Ferrari, and McLaren.
And he said it was hard.
Yeah, it's not that they have the first 2 letters the same.
Alpine, Ferrari, or
McLaren.
McLaren.
Okay, Jeanmark guessed McLaren. That's not what I have. What was your reasoning?
Okay. So you're saying I could potentially get points if I can explain.
This took you way too long.
No, because I saw Paola type in McLaren as well, and I was confused. Okay, I said that Alpine and Ferrari both have drivers from Spain, and McLaren does not. That's what my reasoning was.
But that's my reason for McLaren being the odd one out.
Well, yeah, but I typed McLaren before you typed in McLaren.
Okay,
Wait.
So that.
Okay. Oh, never mind. I thought you had typed in Alpine. Okay.
No, Dominick typed in Alpine.
So we'll give Dominick a chance. He has Alpine.
Because it's based off of last year, right?
Okay. So that is not right either. So I'm going to give you a clue because this is actually
not right. It is right from a certain point of view.
Okay, so it's not what I'm thinking. Okay, you guys got to guess what I'm thinking. The drivers for the constructors and where they're from.
But that's literally what I said. I said that there was a Spaniard on both the other 2 teams. That's the same thing as you're asking. You're asking for constructor and drivers from the locations. I even meet that criteria.
Okay, so I'm thinking about constructors are licensed in.
Wait, hold on.
Ferrari,
you said that
Alpine, and McLaren.
You say that McLaren and Ferrari both have Spaniard drivers, right?
No, I said Alpine and Ferrari both have Spaniard drivers, so McLaren's the odd one out. And that was last season, right? You had Sainz at Ferrari, you had Alonso at Alpine. McLaren doesn't have a Spaniard driver. Now Dad's saying it's based off of where the teams are licensed, right?
Yeah. So we'll go clean slate.
Well, it's still going to, but he says McLaren's already wrong. He already said McLaren's wrong, so you can't say McLaren because they're a British constructor.
So here's the answer. Whoever
No, say the answer.
Okay, give Paola a chance, I guess.
Wait, well, none of us have guessed, right?
Okay, Don, why do you say Alpine, Dominic?
It's not important. I was thinking about this year, so I forgot we were doing last year.
Okay. Okay, Paola, what are your thoughts? If I guess McLaren, Don guess Alpine, then you would have guessed Ferrari based off of last year and based off the constructor.
Of where they're licensed?
I'm not sure what Dad's going with this either.
Hold on. It's Ferrari, right?
That is correct.
Because Alpine last year had a French driver and McLaren had a British driver.
That's correct. And Ferrari did not have a driver from its country that's licensed, which is Italy.
Okay, I guess you could say that. Sure.
Look, man, say what you want, but right now I'm tied for first.
Okay.
I'm feeling good. That feels good, man. And you know what? If that's the last question...
So why did you say it's based off of last year if the lineups are exactly the same this year? You could have just said this year.
No, because last year Norris was from McLaren.
And he's still from McLaren.
Oh, he is, yeah. When I was making the question, I was thinking last year.
Yeah, none of these teams changed their lineups from last year to this year.
The question is, would that have changed any of our answers?
It would have changed my thinking because I'm like, last year. What happened last year?
Okay.
So that was.
These are really open-ended. Odd one outs, more like out of the box.
Okay, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it.
I could come up with another quick tiebreaker if I had more questions here.
I think Dominick and I can split the tie.
Yeah. Look, there's like a 70-30 chance that he's gonna win a tiebreaker. So I'll just take what I can get.
Okay, well, thank you guys for playing.
Yep, thanks, Dad, for putting that together and trying something new. And type in the comments below how many of these you got before we got, because some of these were throwing us for a loop. And there we have it. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's always a pleasure. And no matter where we are in the world or what time zone we're in, it's great to be able to have these great conversations. And so until next time, we'll see you on the pit wall.